Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Okay, let me say hello to a few people here. And oh, what do you know? I do have that ready. Cool. Excuse me. All right, so who was here first? Rosanna Smith. Thank you so much for being here first, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. And let's see, Ann Fu is here. Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer. Thank you for being here on Royal Sussex. Dorothy Ross, Deidre Mikey. Hello, Lydia Washington and Josephine Young, Ann Fu. Oh, Judy, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you, as always, for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Wednesday to you. Oh, wow, it is hump day, isn't it? Excuse me. Panther is here. Okay. And Eliza Sine, Gwendolyn Daniels, and okay. Annie Bullard, thank you so much. Okay. Okay. And there you go. I don't know what that means, but okay. Let me see. Eugenie Miller. I have been watching my tennis game today. Oh, very cool. Mary Hiker. Carolina said that. Fancy, fancy. Fancy wants to say hi to a few people. So let's help out with that. Also, who else is here? Calavetta. Let me see. Wait, don't help me. Najagu. There we go. Thank you so much. Big Mama. Hey, Big Mama. Big Mama's in the house. Nelson Zago. Hello. Thank you for being here. God bless you too. Thank you so much for that. Lucy Wynn. Susie Q. Hey, Susie Q. Catherine Bryant. Mo Shannon. Janice Goodrich. Okay. Nadine Burke. Oh man. Okay. Let me take a seat here. All right. Oh boy, my back is on fire. It is raining. It's damp, and it's miserable outside. And my back feel like somebody just stuck me with a hot poker. Whew. Okay. Oh. All right. Leave me alone, Arthur. Arthritis. Leave me. Oh, leave me alone. But I think I'll get my heating pad out tonight. I got something for Arthur. Arthur don't like that heat. Veronica, quick hello. All right, so you guys, this just happened not long ago. Well, actually, no, it happened earlier today. Anton Allen and Dr. Shola Mos Shabamimu, Shoga Dr. Shola, they met today, and Dr. Shola was able to share with him her feelings about that terrible incident that happened, where someone stuck a very threatening and very filthy letter through her letterbox. It was awful. I I made the mistake and read part of the letter the other day, and I'm just like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. I guess when I went back to it, I nearly forgot how filthy it was the first time, and I do apologize for that. Um, but yeah, so Dr. Shola, you guys were concerned about her, and a lot of us, if not all of us, sent our prayers and all that positive energy out to Dr. Shola. And anyway, I'm going to let you hear a little sound bite. I hope the sound is okay and you guys can hear it. But yeah, so I'm glad that she had a chance to speak because when something traumatic like this happens, no matter what it's always calming to hear the voice of the person who has been targeted, because it's reassuring. You know they're okay. So let me um, let me grab that for you guys, and hopefully, since I restarted my computer before I went on, hopefully it will not give us any grief. Hello to those of us that, I'm sorry, for those of you that just joined us. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so there that is. Um, well, there's a shorter one and there's a longer one. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the longer version. It's like about 3 minutes. So, um, okay, so here goes. I'll let you guys hear it.
A racist far-right death threat posted into activist Dr. Shola's home for simply speaking out.
We are notifying you of our intention to kill you and your family.
Shola, these are some serious threats, not just to you, but to your children. Just how did you react to this?
Rage. I felt so angry when I read that. Like, how dare they? How dare you? By the time I got to the end of the letter, my forethought was, how do I protect my family?
The letter states it's from National Action, a terrorist group banned in 2016 for their racist ideology and glorification of violence.
I'm going to speak right now.
Dr. Shola is a political activist and regular commentator on Good Morning Britain. The letter she received on Monday is littered with racial slurs and direct references to Dr. Shola's campaigning.
It's because people like me are speaking the truth in fighting white supremacy.
Dr. Shola believes the tone of British politics around institutional racism and immigration have re-energized far-right beliefs.
Using words like invasion to asylum seekers and refugees, especially those who come from ethnic minority backgrounds. It speaks directly to how British ethnic minorities are also treated, because, Black British people, Asian British people are treated like that in this country. It almost seems to me like we're meant to be grateful. Oh, things are not as bad as they used to be. And your point is, there's still no equity. There's still no equality. We still get threats against our lives. I shouldn't have to be subject to threats against my person, against my family, when I was born in this country.
And Dr. Shola states parts of the media are giving their listeners the words to attack ethnic minorities.
And them saying that racism doesn't exist. It's all in your mind. Them being allowed to use words like race baiter, race grifter against voices like mine. I'm not the only one that receives threats like this online or offline. I'm not the only one that will have to be more vigilant about their person, about their loved ones. But this is not right.
India Willoughby, the UK's first transgender newsreader, also received a threatening letter. Just 2 years ago, a Metropolitan Police officer was sentenced for being a member of the banned group. But the problem goes beyond the capital. Figures show that nearly half of all counter-terrorism arrests in the year up to September 2022 were related to extreme right-wing terrorism. Shola, you've received this letter to try and silence you, but if you were to give a message directly to the people that have sent this, or to anyone that agrees with it, what would you say?
I think it's important for them to understand this. I will not be silenced, and I will not be silent. I am not the problem here. You are. This country, the United Kingdom, we love so much. And the greatness you believe this country has was created.
Oh, wow. The very end of that got cut off. Let her finish.
The Terrorism Command are investigating. Anton Allen, ITV News.
By people like me and the ancestors.
Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. That was the end of it. But for some reason, it cuts off. I'm going to try it one more time because it was very important what she had to say.
By people like me and the ancestors of people like me. we belong here.
The police are aware.
Okay. So she said that the country has been made great by people like her and ancestors of people like her, and we belong here. So weird that little last part just kept cutting off. But so that was Dr. Shola's reply, her public statement, if you will, about the letter in her box. And also it that lets you know, that answers your question. Anyone who wonders what action has been taken, well, that's what's been done. So heartbreaking something like that happens, and especially the feelings that she's obviously going through, that this is in the home that she shares with her family. That's got to be particularly upsetting. Connie Balmer, you're in Liechtenstein, huh? Wow, I am jealous. I would love to be there. But let's see here. Let me see if you guys have anything you want to add to that. Anyone? Anyone want to comment on Dr. Shola? I'm looking. Let's see. Hello, Marshar. Judy. Maureen Reed says she's praying. Thank you so much for praying for Dr. Shola and her family. Okay. All right. I guess we covered this pretty well. What was it, yesterday? Just yesterday. Hard to believe it was just yesterday, but it was. But we did cover this yesterday. So I think that's okay. Let me see here. Mimi says it's always the cowards that weigh when you're not looking to post something at your front door, instead of telling you face to face. Exactly, Mimi. And it almost sounds like a child has written it, but I don't suspect it was a child, but I do suspect it's someone who doesn't have much of an intellect. Mo Shannon says, Dr. Shola reminds us that we must fight on. Megan said, we will rebuild, and rebuild until it's rebuilt. Oh, you remember that? That was from that video where she spoke to the girls' school during the thing around the time of George Floyd. That was very moving, the words that she said. I still remember that myself. Let's see. Connie Balmer says, we pray for her and her family to be safe. Amen to that. Okay. Let me see. And McKinsey says, I'm glad she was honest and said rage is what she felt. Most would prayed if it politically correct. Most would, yeah. Rage is got to be first the shock and then the rage. Shock followed by rage. That was whoever posted that in the box. And I have to tell you guys, there is a lot of surveillance around Britain. Or should I say around London, and around Britain, there's a lot of surveillance. The police depend on that. And there's not many places in this world where you're photographed and recorded more often walking out your front door than in the UK. So there's got to be some type of way. I'm sure they're going to arrest someone if they are looking for someone. If they're looking for someone, I am more than certain that they will arrest someone. Hello, Judy. The haters cannot deal with strong women. Now you leave Donatella Limon out of this. We talked about, no, I'm just kidding. But this is a whole different kind of thing. And you're right about that. And B10 says, yes, prayers for Dr. Shola. And we need to keep the spotlight on this incident. Exactly, B10, because what they hope is that people will start talking about something else, like, oh, how upset Megan was about the cartoon. They had, like, every day there was a different emotion or action that Megan had about South Park. But as we know, there are so many other things that they ought to be having discussions about in the UK, but instead they focus on South Park. Go figure. Shay, hello, Shay. Shay says, this is serious. It's a life threatening, and we can't ignore this anymore. This could be done by anyone. God is watching. Let's continue to pray for Dr. Shola and her family. Well, you guys, I told you the other day, or, well, I guess it was yesterday, was it? Okay, yeah, I think this was yesterday. Or it was the day before yesterday. I think it was the day before yesterday. But I mentioned about this young lady in Brazil who has a resume that sounds very similar to that of Dr. Shola. And, and somehow, after fighting for poor and people of color in Brazil, she was taken out. And when I saw this, it just so happens I snapped a picture of it, and this was in Paris. So this is someone that people know about, and I don't know if they had an exhibit for her somewhere or something, but she literally sacrificed herself for the cause, or was martyred for the cause, if you will. And it's just really unfortunate that there wasn't someone, or somehow she could have been more protected. And I don't know if anyone was ever brought to justice, but yeah, it's a shame. But that is a reminder as well that someone like a Dr. Shola, not only are they in danger, but it also reminds us that while we are supportive and praying and such, the people that are on the forefront are the ones that are actually taking the largest risk, the bigger risk than anyone. And there's little or no protection. And we hope the police are doing something. We hope they get involved, but that's all we can do is hope. And also, like B10 said, we can't let this just disappear. You need a spotlight on it, because that's the only way to ensure that the police are going to do their jobs, that they're really going to take serious this, because the squeaky wheel does get the oil. And if you ignore this situation, or if you downplay it, or if we just let it go away, then of course that's what they want. That's what the evildoers want. So thank you so much, Shay. Nafisa Shabazz says, peace and blessings to Dr. Shola and her family. The coward can do you harm too. Yeah, yes, Nafisa, that is so true. A coward can do you harm too. Whether it's keeping you up at night where you can't sleep, or they literally come after you, but cowards do harm too. Cowards fan the flames of evil, of hostility, and sometimes those cowards take things into their own hands. So thank you so much. That is very, very wise. Okay, thank you. Let me see here. Hope that Dr. Shola has security everywhere she goes. And Marshart, I've seen updates and stuff from Dr. Shola, and I'm like, oh boy, I hope somebody's with her. Even before this happened, I've seen updates of her in different places, and yeah, I hope that that's the case. Oh man, well, okay. Let's see. Dorothy Ross says, shocking way to treat such a lovely lady. Feel for her. Hugs. Yeah. It is shocking. It is shocking. it's not like she's grotesque in a, in the way she behaves. She's not grotesque in the way she behaves or the way she speaks. She's always very polite and very forward, and she speaks her mind. She hasn't threatened anyone. She, as a matter of fact, as I said the other day, she has actually spoken out for the sake of the Cambridge kids when that cartoon came out. She's like, no, nobody's children should be used like that. So, she's very fair and balanced about things in general, but she's also very much active, or very much an activist, if you will, when it comes to injustice, where it surrounds anyone, and especially people of color, especially for people of color. Let's see. Clara Codore says, I grew up in London and we still have a family home there, but the menace you feel when walking the streets is not from old Londoners. Well, let's dig a little deeper into that. When they were on the when the British team was on the brink of losing the World Cup that time, and the 3 black players were accused of, God knows what, they were sending word around to anybody black, make sure you get home and stay home. So there's a lot of ways people are menaced, and that particular one where people were in fear of mob actions, because let's face it, the British fans of football in particular can be very destructive, and not just at home. They carry that behavior to other countries. So it's just like here in the U.S., you would think that white people never commit crimes in the United States. Oh, they don't do anything. But yet, if you look at some of the local news reports, if you look beyond some of the, local news in urban areas, and you look at some of the rural areas and smaller towns and stuff, you'll find out that that there's no monopoly on crime when it comes to black people. There's plenty of it to go around. But I have to tell you too, I recall when someone did a study about people. Okay, if you're black and you have been accused of a crime, the newspapers will run a photo of your mugshot. But if you're white, somehow they always seem to find their yearbook picture. The white kids, they always find their yearbook picture. Not making this up. So they'll find your photo from high school. They'll find a photo from your, a flattering photo from your social media. But for the black kids, it's always the mugshot. There's always the orange jumpsuit. Let that sink in. That's quite deliberate. So, okay, thank you so much for your comment, Clara. And let's see. Interesting. Don Lemon, Joe Scarborough, and the writers of South Park get their info from tabloids. They all repeated the tabloid lie about privacy. Yeah. Well, the tabloids do have a strong effect. And let's face it, a lot of the writers in these newsrooms are either heavily influenced by these tabloids, or a lot of them, the producers that's in their ears are feeding them lines. And then too, well, we all seen how, well, I reported, but some of you may have seen how Don Lemon allowed a royalist and an apologist for the royal family and for, a lot of things. She apologized or was there to try to deflect from, but she put the responsibility of the transatlantic slave trade on tribal chieftains in Africa and absolved any blame from the royal family, the Duke of York at that time, and so on. So she was there to deliberately get a point of view, a counter narrative, because there was too much discussion about slavery, blood diamonds, and such after the Queen died. There was too much discussion about colonization. And so she was there on CNN, on American television to deflect. Thank you so much, Ruth Lopez. All right, so right here, that is the dreaded letter. It all started yesterday with this post from Dr. Shola. I have received a serious threat from National Action London, notifying me of their intentions to kill me and my family. They named my husband and home address. They don't consider killing me murder. They call it, I think the word was execution. But that was the letter, and she redacted the name of her husband and I guess her children or something like that. Let me see. Yeah, but it was very specific and very threatening, jarring. So I'm glad that it's being taken serious, and I'm you guys know how I am about Dr. Shola. I love Dr. Shola, so I'll keep praying and wishing and hoping for the best. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Celia. Pray that God will continue to watch over Dr. Shola and family. There is a lot of evil and wickedness in high places, but we lift up prayers for safety and protection. Amen to that. Thank you so much. All right. And lastly, there's this one. This is Dr. Shola in her element. And then here you can see, being of beautiful dark brown complexion doesn't begin to encapsulate who I am, Dr. Shola. So that's the Dr. Shola that we all know and love. So yeah, God will protect her. God will protect her. Gail Anita says, so all the hate for Dr. Shola and all others are as a result of the opening of the hate racist wound. Megan hate was a injection that blew apart the festering sore like a volcano. Well, what was it? What did not doctor, but Reverend Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton said one of the reasons why they hated Megan so much is because she exposed them. They feel exposed because the kind of hatred, the way racism plays out in the US is a little different from the UK, and that the UK is so very subtle. And also in the UK, the racism usually comes from some very highbrow, erudite people that you would expect to see sipping tea and eating crumpets, whereas in the US it seems to come from a lower socioeconomic level. In the UK it seems to filter from the top down, whereas in the US it tends to bubble up from the bottom all the way up to the top. But either way, they tend to meet in the middle. So it doesn't really matter, where it comes from. That it exists is unfortunate, and even worse, that it can cause, everything up to the point of losing your life. It makes it pretty despicable. So, but that's what is always so confusing for me, is that to see the very well educated, or what you assume is a well educated person, and also a very privileged person who, you know, if you got that much privilege, how is it so many people are a threat to your way of life with all the privilege that you have? But is kind of like, well, it's not like they think so much of other people in general, but in particular, people of color, foreigners, Black people, Eastern Europeans, Asian people seem to get the worst of it. And then from there, um, when I learned about the workplace environment for a child in Britain during the Industrial Revolution, during the Victorian era in particular, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. It seemed like children were not regarded or valued in any way whatsoever. If it was a poor child, they were absolutely expendable. If you weren't the heir to the duchy or the heir to whatever, you also really didn't have much value. But you were the spare, or we could marry you off to another family, so you had value. But even the wealthiest of children, if you weren't going to inherit, if you weren't the firstborn male, as the way they treated Harry demonstrates, I mean, look at how Harry was treated, a member of the royal family, and they trashed this kid. That is the aristocracy. That is the aristocracy. That is the unvarnished truth about the aristocracy, is that even members of the aristocracy do not have as much value. And so if they treat a child like that, consider how they're likely to treat another white person, another white kid in the UK. Like I said, I was fascinated about it. If you guys ever get a chance to see any, I don't even remember the documentaries that I watched, but it you would be shocked. If you were an orphaned boy, they sent you to a naval academy so you can learn how to be a merchant marine to bring wealth back to Britain. If you were a girl, they were likely to teach you to be domestic help. That is what happened to the poor orphan kids. You did not have a choice about anything. That was already decided for you. That was amazing. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for your comment, Gail and Nita. I'm not going to do like yesterday and get stuck on one topic for too long. Hello, Charlotte. Bonsoir. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Who else is here? Olivia. Where did I see Olivia? I saw Olivia. Oh, well. Black Queen, thank you so much. Black Queen says, oh, so African chiefs for centuries built ships and navigated the triangle slave trade, branded and sold humans, ran plantations with the most heinous atrocities against humanity. That is what that is what Donatella Lemon failed to address. Don Lemon allowed this woman to spew all this bile out on American TV, and his response sounded like Oliver Twist. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it. And he was gone. He was out of there. Please, sir, may I have another? He was out of there. It was like looking at Oliver Twist. Instead, it was Oliver Twisted, because that's a twisted individual. Violin Voger, Jeremy Clarkson, bestie of Tampon Queen Consort. This is what you call for in your nastiness. Attack the blacks. Yeah. And you know, Nicola Sturgeon was also mentioned. Let us not forget that. Nicola Sturgeon was also mentioned. So there was, I didn't realize how big the campaign was against Nicola Sturgeon. Now I get it. The fact that she's stepping down lets you know that the fix was in. and how much worse it was than the limited amount of stuff that I was seeing. But she was targeted by the right wing, and I would say by the Tories, and now they've gotten what they wanted. So all they had to do was to try to make her the face of the worst possible things that could affect her party, and it made it impossible for her to govern. So it was a campaign of hate, not nearly as bad as what Meghan has received, even though Meghan is not a politician. But yeah, these tabloids, they are very powerful. The messages, the headlines are very, very powerful. Thank you so much for your comment. Okay. Let me see. Marshall says, yes, Morgan did expose the UK racism. Dr. Shola hammers that point each time she speaks. Once again, Black women are invoking change. Believe me, things will get nastier, but change will happen. Yeah, life is going to happen whether or not we're ready for it. Life is always going to happen, and life is full of changes. Watching this play out in the UK is liking watching the US in the 1950s. Yeah, it is. It is. You know, I always say you can hold a mirror. You can hold a mirror to the UK or the US, and you start to see the reflection of one another. Um, there were race riots in the US, as I shared with you guys with that map that time. And let's see, was it 1919 was the year? I think it was 1919. There was, or is it 1909? But there was a race riot in Chicago. There was other riots around the US, and they had these things going on in the UK. So yeah, it's like holding up a mirror. But the US, Trump was trying to take us back to the 1950s in the worst possible way. Trump was trying to take us back to the 1950s. So, okay, let me see. Thank you so much for your comment, and thank you for the super chat. Okay. All right. Lucy Wynn says, it reminds me of the orphan train movement in America, sending Irish children from eastern states to other states across the nation. The kids were often mistreated. You know what? I've never heard of that. The orphan train. Wow, I've never heard of that. The orphan train. Well, I'm going to have to look into that one. I'd be interested to learn about it. Wow, I've never heard that. Oh, wow, that's terrible. Yeah, when the Irish first flooded into the United States, they were treated badly. When the Italians first came, they were treated badly. But the big difference is they were able to assimilate and blend in to the greater population. And one reason why in the old movies and the old cartoons that the police always have the Irish accent is because as they flooded into the cities, they were favored in some cases over Blacks for domestic work and hard labor because, they could speak English, right? And people could identify with them, and they would work for very similar wages that they were paying to Black people at the time. And so housekeepers, nannies, and stuff like that, a lot of them were Irish. And the police, they began to get political clout, and they took over, police departments all over the industrial cities in the United States. And that's why, is because as more and more Irish came, the more they got political clout, and they could assimilate well enough. And plus, being Catholics, there was a bit of unity with, say, the Italians that immigrated through Ellis Island and such. So that gave them political clout. And they were able to take over a lot of the cities. A lot of the politics became very Irish. One little thing that I learned, though, is that a lot of the street gangs that were the Irish gangs that were the thugs on the street, as they got political clout, some of those gangs, guess what happened to them? They became police officers, like the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. There were a couple of uniformed police that walked into that garage that night, along with the plainclothes henchmen. And the group of them, it was 4 of them, they gunned down 7 people. So just a little information that I would share with you. But I learned about that when I was reading about Al Capone and organized crime in Chicago. The Irish famine brought them here. It was genocide by the English. I believe this may be behind Stephen Colbert's disdain for the crown, among other things. And let's not forget Joe Biden's mother. Don't forget Joe Biden's mother. I think Joe Biden's mom would have put a couple of those royals in a headlock if she could do it. She hated the royal family. But yeah, it's a lot to atone for. It is a lot to atone for. That history is one of those things that a lot of people don't like to address, but it's one of the reasons why the Union in Ireland, or was it Northern Ireland? That Union in Northern Ireland actually supported were anti-apartheid and wanted to help. They went on strike, didn't they, for South Africa? They wanted the department store to break any connections from goods from South Africa because they identified with the struggle. South Africa reminded some of the Irish workers too much of the British. And so for that reason, they had that solidarity between them. Interesting, isn't it? Let me see. The English tested their brutalizing and disenfranchising of people first on the Scottish and the Irish, and then they did it to the Africans. Yeah, it is something that they seem to be very efficient at. Although we have to remember this does not, involve most of the modern day people, and we shouldn't forget that, because it's got to be hard to hear stuff like that when you had nothing to do with it. It's something that your ancestors done. However, I still believe the history should be acknowledged, it should be studied, and it should be taught in school. They should never allow schools not to teach that history. And where that's concerned, as we have learned nothing else, if we haven't learned anything else, the young people, those white kids in Britain that the reporters stick the microphone in their face and they are expecting them to be excited about the Jubilee. How many times have we heard them say things like colonization, blood diamonds, crown jewels? We need an elected head of state. So let's not forget that. Let's give credit to the young people, to the 70% of young people, the under 30s, who want nothing to do with monarchy, who want an elected head of state, and who would love to have atonement for the very brutal history of the country in which they're born. So let's give credit for that. The older people, the royalists, a lot of them are, leaving this earth one after the other, and the demographics are shifting. And that's why there's so much desperation. That's why they're so fearful of the fact that the Sussexes, Meghan in particular, has exposed this, this history. A lot of people, it's not like so many people didn't know, but it wasn't as topical. It wasn't a conversation that was happening that much. But when the Queen died, oh, I tell you, I was amazed. I thought it would take more time before, people started calling things out and having certain conversations. It didn't even take a day. It didn't even take a day. But the young people, again, the young people were on it, and they really impressed me. I have to say, the young, especially the young British kids, they really impressed me. I was not expecting that much honesty, but it happened, and I'm glad for it. So I'm glad to know that there's so many people that not only are considering the history, but they will, put them on blast about it without any regards to what somebody might think. Like that one young lady, I remember she said, "Oh, I don't think you want to know what I have to say." But I think it was an American reporter. And, she just put it out there. I'm just like, you go, girl, you go. Let me see. Give me 1 second, you guys. I see you guys have a bunch of comments. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So, oh, by the way, thank you so much for your. Oh man, what did I just do? Okay. Black Queen says, imagine the tone deaf hypocrisy on the Italians, Irish, and Scottish who were oppressed in Europe, yet they came to America and treated Black people like trash the same way the Israelis treat the Palestinians. Yeah, it is amazing that you can have a group that is oppressed in one place and then they carry that oppression to another place. The oppressed become the oppressors, and that is like a what do you call it? It's like a routine. It's almost like a matter of routine that an oppressed people suddenly become the oppressors. And we've seen that play out over and over again in so many places. Shelley L says, "Oh yes, I remember that my Irish grandfather told us about the orphan train when they were young. P.S. I was in the what is that? The I don't know what that is. The account. Really, I don't know what that means. But thank you so much for the I am gonna have to the orphan train. I am gonna have to make a note of that because I will forget later on, and I want to look into that because it sounds intriguing. Orphan train, the orphan train movement, orphan train movie. Wow, there's a lot to that. So, oh, I'm looking at the photos. My God, I see photos. Okay, I'm going to leave that and then I'm going to go back to it. Thank you so much, Shelly. I am going to look into that because I would be very interested to learn about that. Let me see. 1960 says, yes, the Irish were treated horribly. My family is part Irish, and they talk about the Irish slave trade. They call them indentured servants, but they could never pay off their debts to be free. And serfdom. Let us not forget about serfdom. In Russia, they had the serfs, and I'm sure in a few other countries, but they used the term serfs, and the serfs were almost like property along with the land, and families worked that land for generations. And yeah, and so indentured servants, serfs. I'm sure there's a few more names that you could throw with that, but yeah, it is a thing, and it is very real. And sadly, in some places, even in India, it still goes on. Families that will never repay a debt that started generations ago, and they just work making bricks and such as though they even remember how it started. Interesting, but it still goes on today. Okay, talk Rule Britannia. Oh yeah, that song. Britain will never be enslaved. Rule Britannia. Yeah, that song. That song, if you ever look at the words to Rule Britannia, if you guys feel like doing it right now, go ahead and Google the words to Rule Britannia. You'll find it very interesting. And to think, when I was a kid, I would hear that and I didn't think much of it. Shelley L says that's not completely true. My great grandfather paid off my grandmother's debt, and then they got married and had 8 children. They were one of the first interracial couples in Boston. Yeah, I know a lot of people who were able to pay off a debt. Um, they would, they would like go north or whatever, find work, or they even stayed in the South and became wealthy themselves, and they would buy the freedom of their wife or whatever. So yeah, there was a lot of that. There was a, oh gosh, what is the name of that plantation in Tennessee? And in their books, they kept meticulous records for this one plantation, and you could see in their books there's all sorts of information about people buying the freedom of their ancestors. And if you guys, some of you all may have watched it. Sometimes I post things on the community tab that I figure we may talk about, and that was one. It was about that plantation, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name of it, but if you guys did watch it, it was a Zoom call discussion between a writer, an African American man whose ancestors lived on that plantation, and someone who, was doing a book review about his book. And he said that there was a lot. This is the thing. It was a gold mine, a treasure trove of information. And what was great about it is that the Black people on that plantation usually lived, the average age for them were in their 80s and 90s, and a few of them lived to be 100. And so there was an oral history that they shared with this writer, and I apologize, I can't remember his name. And so he had the oral history. He said, but he could back up almost all of it through the paperwork, through the ledgers from the plantation. And the family, the white family that owned the plantation, were very helpful. As a matter of fact, it's like they have a family reunion between the plantation family and the Black families that lived on that plantation. They all worked really hard to keep, and so that's why I say it's refreshing to know that a lot of young people in Britain want to know this history. They want to be aware of Britain's place in the world, as opposed to people who are trying to bury that history. Very interesting, that between the generations that there's that. But remember, there are still a lot of young people in the EDL and such who don't know the history, don't care about the history, and can give a toss what you have to say about it. And then there's a lot of older people that definitely know the history and definitely will share that history and they do care what the world thinks about Britain. They do want to see some level of atonement. So we can't put everybody in a box and say that this group or that group, nobody cares, because there are many people that are fighting the good fight, or at the very least are sympathetic to the cause. So I don't want to stereotype anyone just because they're British or just because they're older, because there are plenty people that know the history and will openly discuss it. Speaking of which, let me give you this little soundbite from James O'Brien again, if you guys don't mind. And it's just about that topic. Let's see.
If there are valid reasons why you think that it is wrong to put history of historic houses on display in historic houses, or to put history of plants on display in a botanic garden, but most pertinently in the context of plants, how did that get to be here? And most obviously in the context of houses, I always think, and I know you do too now, of that wonderful story. I've got to stop telling it, but it tickles me so much. I told it to David Harewood in the podcast that was released yesterday, because he's had some experiences and he's been making a film absolutely on point for this issue. But when the woman who used to work in the National Trust, property, rang us, so we must have done this topic before, because we took that call. And the woman rang in and she was showing a school group around a stately home, and one of the lads said, "Excuse me, miss, where did all the money come from to buy this place, please?" It was like young Keith was on the tour of the. Was it you? Because it was a few years ago. Young Keith was there with his inquiring mind and his curious nature. He said, "Excuse me, miss, where did all the money come from to build this stately home, please?" And she was sort of conscious of, I don't know what you'd call it, political correctness, wokeness, before woke was a word in the context that it's currently deployed. So she started to, business and sugar and this very patrician voice behind her, sort of sotto voce, whispers in her ear, "Tell him it was the enslavement of Africans and state-sponsored piracy." And she said, "Well, I can't tell him that. They'll throw me out." And he said, "Well, they can't throw me out. I live here." And that just seems to me, you know how fond I am of the simple summary of a complicated issue. That sums it up, right? And the Earl of Harewood, David Harewood, was telling me, you can see the clue there in what his documentary's about, can't you? Has got all sorts of information on display about how colonialism and slavery created the fortune that his family pile is still built on. So is he woke? Is he, as the owner or the chatelaine or the inhabitant of Harewood House, revealing history of Harewood House that encompasses colonialism and slavery, is he indulging in preposterous posturing by people who are so out of touch with the sentiment of patriotic Britain? Katie's in Bristol. Katie, what's going on?
Well, I think it's all made.
Okay, so there's that little sound bite. So that's important to remember. We have to build upon those who are aware, those who will openly discuss things. And certainly, I don't think that people should be alienated from the conversation because they have benefited because of their race or religion. There's plenty people that understands the plight of the Palestinians, and plenty of Israeli people that do not care for their government, that will call out their government. And yes, there has actually been some that have been sacrificed because of their outspokenness with their own government. And that is, again, something that transcends any individual nation. You'll find that there's a lot of people, like as we were speaking earlier about this young lady, she saw a wrong and she tried to right it. Well, she's not here anymore. So that's a real thing. The struggle is real. Thank you so much, Shelley, for your comment. I'm like so far behind. I'm going to have to scroll. Thank you so much, Elaine Parker, for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. And sorry, I'm going to have to miss quite a bit. I know that there's some good stuff, but we're getting too far behind. Let me see here. Actually, I'm getting too far behind. So Oh, Philomena, thank you. Yes, I heard of that movie before. Have I seen that movie? I've heard of it before. I don't know if I've ever seen it. Let me see. Foxy Gibbs, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. So, guys, if nothing else comes out of this conversation, listen, we can all learn something. We can all learn something. We can all be very open-minded to learn some of these things. It is Black History Month, so if you're in the U.S. or even if you're not, it is a good time to learn things that you don't know. That history, got to learn about that history. There are people that know a lot and will share a lot. So pick up what you can. It'll change your life. Okay, so let me see here. Linda Lala says, "Oh my God, Baron, the struggle is real. My daughter uses that all the time." See, I'm one of the young people. Not really, but I identify with the youth. But yeah, but seriously, though, the struggle is real. But thank you for saying that. Okay. Okay, I think we should move on then. Thank you very much, everybody, for your comments. We have all been enlightened by this, and I really appreciate it. Yes, I am 18 to 35. Actually, 18 plus 35. If you do 18 plus 35, that should be pretty close. Wait, let me see. Yeah, do 18 plus 35, and then maybe add a few more, and that's me. Okay, let's get on with this. Okay, so Fisher House, we kicked off starting we are Invictus season at the Landstuhl Fisher House. It was a great day to gather with Invictus Games DE, whatever that is. Is that Delaware? DE? I don't know what that is. But friends and family teams and LRMC command team. If you guys don't know about Fisher House is what is it? That's exactly what it is. Well, there is Kenneth Fisher. That's the guy that has been friends with Harry since, take a look at the photo right there. Look at how young Harry is. Well, Fisher, he himself is very wealthy, and part of his philanthropy is supporting people in the military. So I'll tell you a little bit about Ken Fisher. Give me a second here. Okay, great guy, Ken Fisher. No, that's not the right Ken Fisher. Not that loser. Fisher House. There we go. All right, so Fisher House Foundation. Fisher House is a charity and foundation that builds comfort homes where military and veteran families can stay free of charge while their loved one is in the hospital. Fisher House are located in major military and VA medical centers nationwide. Wow, that is lovely. And in Europe, close to the medical center or hospital it serves. Fisher House Foundation ensures that there is never a lodging fee. Fisher House have 8 to 21 suites with private bathrooms and baths. Families share a common kitchen, laundry facility, and dining room in a living room. Since its inception, the program has saved military and veteran families an estimated $500 plus million in out-of-pocket costs. So over half a billion dollars of out-of-pocket costs for lodging and transportation. Currently, Ken Fisher, Zachary's grandnephew, continues the legacy and serves as the chairman and CEO of Fisher House Foundation. So, yeah, that is who Ken Griffin is. So, what I love about this is that it really, and you guys, I loathe the fact that sometimes I feel like I have to prove something where the Sussexes is concerned, but it just bothers me the way the lies. And you guys, I know people always say, "Oh, we should just ignore it. Don't give it any energy." But the more that they put these lies out, the more they recruit haters, not just for Harry and Meghan, but for anything, and it's not just a message, as Tina and Michelle used to say all the time. This is much bigger than Harry and Meghan. It's about principle. And Meghan said, "Today is me, tomorrow it could be you. It could be you. It could be any of us." And so that's why we have to push back against this hostility that has been sanctioned by the likes of a Rupert Murdoch, where they could just choose anybody. You could be plucked from obscurity because of a story, and then suddenly you become a household name, like the poor woman who came up missing, and they were speculating, was there drugs and alcohol involved? Why is her family going through this at a time like that? So that's why this is important. And so my point is, I feel like I need to push back when they say Harry and Meghan doesn't have any friends. So-and-so has turned against Harry and Meghan. Meghan's not as this and that and this. I hate pushing back against that stuff, but I'm going to keep doing it until I don't have to do it anymore. And that's just that. I'm going to do it until it's not necessary. Meghan's relationship with Michelle Obama is strained. Meghan, I'm just going to say this. She doesn't have much of a relationship with Michelle Obama. I don't know that for sure, but publicly, I've never heard one mention the other. Publicly, I've never seen them out together. I don't know that she has that much of a relationship with Barack Obama, but obviously Harry does. I'm sure that they've met or chat, or I don't know. I don't even know that they ever met. But it's not for us to speculate. It's really not for us to speculate. And even worse, it's not for the tabloids to speculate, but they do it anyway for clickbait. But is the worst part about it is that it creates a hostile, like visceral, hostile reaction every time the Sussexes are mentioned. And how many times have we seen that? We've seen that with the Obamas. We've seen that with Hillary Clinton. We've seen that with so many people. Oh, I just don't like that guy. Oh, I remember one time I saw this little kid, he had he was young. And so as he gets older, his bleach blonde hair is probably going to darken a bit. And I'm like, wow, you look like a little Anderson Cooper. Okay. Everybody thought it was funny. That happened again. I was working in customer service. So sometimes I always say little funny things just to break the tension. There's another family and there's another kid. And as time has gone by, I noticed that the reaction to, well, look at you, little Anderson Cooper. Oh, I don't like that guy. How did we get so hostile in this country? But because Anderson Cooper has been identified in this, what do we call it? This cultural war as woke, then that means that anybody who voted for Trump, you must hate Anderson Cooper, or you must hate the girls on The View, or whatever. You've got to hate somebody if you voted for Trump. There's a whole list of people that you are obliged to hate. And so, I just want to, before I get so far off track, This was about Ken Griffin and the Fisher House. I'm sorry, Ken Fisher. This is another one of those examples where you have them trying to build this case against Harry with the Invictus games, something he started himself. There is no Invictus games without Harry. It's not at that point where it's going to operate the same without Harry. It exists, but Harry, as we have seen from The Hague, Harry is the lifeblood of these games and will be for a long time. And they're trying to take that away from him. But yet, you can see here with the Fisher House, they are going to keep on keeping on. They literally are standing there holding up the Invictus Games flag. You know, the one that they're supposed to burn in effigy because Harry wrote a book about the way his family treated him. That's just not going to happen, and we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. So I intend to push back against it. And yeah, sometimes I might invoke something or say something about an article or something that should be ignored. But the truth is, it does have an impact. It does create hostility. It has created apathy toward the Sussexes. It didn't just appear out of nowhere. People don't dislike them just because they have been told repeatedly that they are a threat to all of the United Kingdom, the European Union, the entire Western Hemisphere. And so there's some people that believe that, and I believe it's worth pushing back. I didn't have a platform to do this before when it came to other people, but I do now, and I intend to do what I can because I'm really, really, really fatigued with this with the tabloid press. But you know, as long as I can, I will. As long as I can, I will. And I intend to inject as much humor and sarcasm in to help make it palatable, if not for myself, but for other people. That's about the best I could do with it. So, all right. Black Queen says Fisher houses are attached to the Marine Corps Wounded Warriors Battalion. They were always at capacity during the Iraqi-Afghan wars. They are maintained through charitable donations. Did you guys hear that? Charitable donations. So if you're looking to do something, there you go. You can always go to the Fisher House. That is something you can do. Thank you so much for that, Black Queen. That was very descriptive. I appreciate that. Santonia Smith. The goal is to have the Sussexes appear alienated, yes. And to the public, Michelle did meet with Meg, and that's right. Thank you for reminding me of that when she was going through the thick of it. That is right. I know that she met Oprah at the Knotcot, and I know she met Hillary Clinton, but for whatever reason, I either don't remember or didn't know that she had met with Michelle Obama. But I think that makes sense now. Because you know what? Now that I think about it, I remember when Barack Obama was joking with Harry about having a girlfriend or something. And Harry looked like he had saw a ghost, and he just kind of maneuvered away from it. That was when Harry interviewed him that time. So it would make sense. It would make sense that even though they never publicly acknowledged that there was any kind of connection, but it would make sense that they had, at the very least, had met before. Thank you for that, Satanya. Okay. Yes, woke is a bigoted dog whistle. It is. It is a dog whistle. There are so many dog whistles that are used nowadays so that the most racist of people can pretend like they're not. They're not racist. They're just misunderstood. Big Mama says, Baron, if they don't bring up the Sussexes every day, they will atrophy and start to eat their young. Woo! Thank you, Big Mama. Oh man! And Charlotte says, "Les Britanniques, le media, the lying media, say are not competent, right? Informs, is that cockroaches, coaches?" So yes, I agree with you, Charlotte. The incompetent British media are like little baby cockroaches. I agree with you 100. And thank you so much for reminding us about that. They are like incompetent little baby cockroaches. Oh man, thank you, Charlotte. Cookies and Cream says, Baron, I agree. We should push back and not keep ignoring the maddening situation. It only gives these situations oxygen and recruit more hate by simply ignoring it. Exactly. Because it's got to make a difference when you have someone, especially when you consider the younger generation. We, with the younger people, we have to reinforce that there's another side to the story. Not that they should necessarily agree or see things as we see it, but at least let's foster some type of counter narrative so that they'll know that you shouldn't just accept everything that you see in the paper. That's what's important. It's not, oh, you got to agree with me, but at least know that there is another side of the story. Don't live in an echo chamber. Thank you, Cookies and Cream. Joyce Ball says Harry is Invictus and he has the support of other organizations that work with vets. Read, what is that? Once the 2027 games, I'm sure the royal family want to take it from him, but it won't work. No, this is Harry's baby. This is Harry's baby and nobody else's. And they are not taking anything. And I know that they're the reason why there wasn't much military representation in The Hague, if any, from Britain, although they did have that one tent set up for the British families and the Sussexes went over there. But other than that, they've done everything that they could to try to ignore it. But I tell you what, it is much bigger than the Earth flop. It's much bigger than the Earth flop. And now that William has $1 billion fortune with his Duchy of Cornwall, if he doesn't do anything with the Duchy of Cornwall, with everything he inherited from his title, from his father, if he does nothing with that, then that just goes to show he's not only dumb, but he's stupid too. He's got every convenience, every option, every thing that you could have to be a success at this moment. And if he does nothing with all of the accoutrements that he just inherited, that just goes to prove how dumb he is. That will prove once and for all. If he's a dum dum, that will prove it. If he's not able to do anything with the Duchy of Cornwall, it's a vast portfolio, and I think it profits like 30 million pounds a year. 30 million pounds a year. So if it's not more than that, but if he's not able to do something with that, plus the sovereign grant, 30 million pounds a year plus the sovereign grant. If William is not able to make a go at it with all that he has available to him, that will prove once and for all that he doesn't have it. whatever it is, he just don't have it. And he's angry at Harry because Harry is winning. Harry is the winner. Harry is the leader. Harry is the king, a king. Okay, let's just say a king. Harry is a king. He's a king of his domain, and his domain is vast. That includes the connections that he has. That includes his financial portfolio that he's established along with the Duchess of Sussex. He's the king of that domain. And it just eats William up that he's trying constantly to make sure that people know Harry's not the one. I'm the one. I'm Neo. I'm the one. But nobody's buying it because it doesn't exist. Hello, Ivy here. Hey, Ivy. Ivy is in the house. Hello, Ivy here. Which I just watched Ivy. Let me see. Let me have a go at that one. So Black Queen, what is this you're sharing with me? Please tell me this is not some militant organization. No. Okay, this looks innocent enough. I don't see any afros, dashikis, no black leather gloves. Okay, this looks innocent enough. I will share it. All right, I mean, I'm just saying. Oh man, I had to look. Okay. All right. So far, I don't see any images of anybody being pistol whipped. So we're good. We're good. Not even that one. Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, I'm going to leave that up for a minute, and then Lydia, that link that you just sent, that was for, what was that? Was that for Ivy? I'll put that up a little bit later. Just remind me. And okay, what did I see? Oh, Joan Lawman, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. All right, so let's pick up the pace here. Well, don't you know that Lorraine Kelly dropped out of the ITV show at the last minute after falling ill with a hideous bug? I'm not laughing at her illness, but I just couldn't picture Lorraine Kelly not doing her show. Oh, I won't be in today. The most peculiar thing happened. No, I'm not with the Russell Myers. No, I'm not with the Russell Myers. I'm Oh man. Well, she's not with Russell Myers, if that's what you guys are thinking. She just had a little bug and couldn't come to work. Now, I have a theory. I believe that she probably decided to trim her bangs herself. And you know, if there's one thing that you ought not do if you don't have experience, you should never try to trim your own bangs. All sorts of things can go wrong if you don't know what you're doing. So my theory is she doesn't have some illness. I think she tried to trim her bangs herself. And unfortunately, she probably, messed up her hair, and she just didn't want to come in to work. It's not like she's laid up somewhere with Russell Myers. It's probably just a bad nip at the bangs, and she was embarrassed and decided she should not come into work. However, some people say that she was upset because she couldn't find Russell Myers' other ear. So tell me, Russell Myers, do you have the two ears, Russell Myers? Huh? Tell me, Russell. Maybe that hideous bug nipped away at Russell Myers' other ear. I'm telling you, you never see both of his ears. There's one ear. I know I'm being particularly bad right now, but I'm having too much fun. Russell Myers, did you ever find your other ear? Did you ever find your other ear, Russell Myers? And Russell Myers was probably like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, okay, you guys, I know I made fun of Russell Myers the other day, but I have it on good authority. Russell Myers has two ears, and I can prove it. Now, either he just stuck that on the side of his face or he has two ears. So please don't go around telling people that I said he only had one ear, because Russell Myers, the reason why one ear sticks out is because he's very nosy and he's always getting into the Sussex's business. And when you're real nosy like that, then one ear is liable to pop out further than the other. So that's how that happened. Or the other theory is that he's always trying to listen to his neighbors, and he has that one ear stuck up against the wall, and it just grew like that. So either way, Russell Myers does have two ears. And Lorraine Kelly, she had a little bit of a bug, a wee bit of a bug. The little lass nipped away at a wee bit of the bug. Oh man, I have been wanting to do that all day. Thank you guys for indulging me. I have gotten that out my system, and also I have established that the Russell Myers, he he has two ears. So win-win. I had a chance to talk about Lorraine, and Russell Myers got two ears. Okay, let's move on, shall we? British tomato shortage could last until the end of April, warns UK's largest growers. Tesco and Aldi's became the largest supermarkets to place limits on their vegetable customers can buy due to the supply shortage, right? Well, I have another theory. Now, if you think my theory about Russell Myers' other ear, if you think that theory was interesting, hear me out. The reason why there's a shortage of tomatoes, and pretty soon you won't be able to find any tomatoes. Are you guys ready, or do you need more time? Because I'm going to tell you. The reason why there's a tomato shortage is because they are afraid that because eggs are so expensive, that people are going to switch to tomatoes in order to establish their freedom of speech. So some people use eggs for freedom of speech. Others may actually use tomatoes. And so before things get out of hand, they're going to limit the supply of tomatoes to ensure that the price is so high that most people can't afford them. And then around the time of the coronation, we are going to notice that tomatoes and eggs are going to disappear from the shelves. You won't be able to find either. So that is my theory. I'm not saying it makes a lot of sense, but oh, really? You think it's, yeah, I'm sure that's got a little bit to do with it. But I also have it on good authority that after this incident in Yorkshire, they are rethinking how bad should we allow people. I mean, how bad people really need to have eggs and now tomatoes. Now, oh, Ruth Lopez. I couldn't get it out of my mouth. I was going to say, well, let's just hope they don't start hurling other stuff at them. But since you beat me to it, you get a bell. But um, well played. Okay. So, yeah, let's hope that they don't throw anything because we don't want to create a panic. We don't want anyone to get hurt. Although it is fun to think about, but we don't want anyone to get hurt because it can cause a panic, right? So if anybody's going to protest, I hope that they will do it in the most peaceful manner and that no one gets hurt, not even the emotional support, Camilla. We don't want anybody hurt. We're all God's children. So, but that's just my theory. If you can't find tomatoes or eggs, around the time of the coronation, my theory is that they would have been yanked from the grocers' refrigerators or shelves to make sure that there is no display of hostility or revolt during the coronation. And speaking of which, it is real that there is rationing and that there, even though I tend to, you know, make jokes here and there. This is a very serious thing, and it's very unfortunate for the people of the United Kingdom. This is something that should not have happened. This is something that, thank you, Marshar. This is something that, that, there we go. I'm sorry. Thank you, Gwendolyn Daniels, and thank you, Marshar. This is something that shouldn't have happened, but this is the result of Brexit. Brexit is costing a lot to a lot of people. The car industry is all but non-existent. The grocery stores, the grocers and such, have shortages, and now the very basic things, fruits and vegetables. What's next? What's next? So oh man, are we overdue? Are we overdue? Um, okay, I'll see what I can do about that. But yeah, so this is an unfortunate thing, and hopefully they will work this out. And I have to say, I certainly didn't want to share any photos or anything, but there was actually a few people in France that posted images of their grocery stores, and I don't think they were doing it in a hostile way toward the people of Britain, but it was more a way of, speaking out against the Tory government. But they posted images of their supermarkets, and in particular, the produce section, to demonstrate how terrible Brexit is. And they would, show these full counters and full shelves, and of course, the whole point of it was to snub their noses at the Brexit. So, in our lifetime, who knows if the whole get out of Brexit get out of the European Union can be undone, that they could go back to the European Union. It's going to take a long, long time. And it's unfortunate for the working class people who are going to suffer or are suffering because of Brexit. And they have to double down. The Tories, the Brexiteers, they have to double down and pretend like this is not the worst thing in the world. And even worse, they're blaming other people. They're blaming the European Union. They're blaming the people that voted against the Brexit. They're claiming that anyone who didn't vote against Brexit, who didn't vote for Brexit, they are the ones sabotaging everything. So Nobody is sabotaging anything except for the Tories. The Tories did this. You know, why would you take a hostile stance against your biggest trading partners? You know, you could trade freely within the European Union, and now you're in opposition to the European Union, and they're angry because they're not getting the breaks that they feel like they deserve. But those considerations are for people within the European Union. So I'm not going to harp on that too long, but you know, every time I look at a movie about JFK, I want to yell, don't get in that car, right? Every time I see a movie about any disaster, don't get on that Titanic. And this is like a movie. Please don't vote for Brexit. But you can't unring the bell. The bell has been rung, it has happened, and real people are paying the price for it, not the people that promoted the lie. Hopefully, hopefully they will wake up and stop looking at Harry and Meghan as the reason for everything that's going wrong, and they'll take notice of what their government is doing. And I'm not even going to talk about Northern Ireland. I don't have enough information, number one. And number two, that is a whole nother nightmare. But you're going to be hearing more about it in the coming days. It's almost as if the Friday agreement never happened. So this is a real problem, and it's going to take a long time to sort it out. And it's unfortunate for the young people who wanted, I think it was, they said like 70%, or was it 90% of the young people wanted to stay in the European Union, and the older people sold them out. They literally sold out their future. And it didn't matter that Greater London voted to stay. It didn't matter that Scotland and Northern Ireland voted to stay. They left. And now they have empty shelves to show for it. Sophie Charlotte, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Okay. So here's another example, empty. And then a throwback. And God knows I hope this never happens. No matter how I feel about the royal family and the way they treated the Sussexes, I never want to see this come back. This is the ration book. This is one of those post-war ration books. Now it's been updated on His Majesty's service, Brexit. Your ration book issued to safeguard your food supply. Name, an idiot Tory voter. Address, Hunger Lane, Sovereignty, La La Land. National registration number unknown. Date issued 2016. That's when they voted for Brexit. If found, please return to Tory Scum. What is that? HOP Westminster, London. Food Office. Serial number of book BL796254. I don't know if that has any meaning. But yeah, so this is what someone posted on the social media today. So the good thing is people still have a bit of a sense of humor, but the sad thing is, well, I'm going to show you. That's what's sad. That is sad. Nice to have a sense of humor. That is pretty sad. It's 2023. 2023, and this is Britain. And I'm seriously, you guys, I do feel bad. I mean, I've been there a few times. I enjoyed myself. I loved it there. I didn't just like it. I loved it there. And I met some amazing people. And I hate to think that this is the reality of Britain today. So let me see here. Mary H says, could the reason barren eggs are too high and had so many tomatoes in the garden? Despair of needing. Oh man. Okay. Are you is this an invitation to the yellow t-shirt guy? Oh man. But okay, thank you so much for that, Mary H. Let me see here. Hey, remember when Charles was it Charles who said that it is everyone's civic duties to go out and pick fruits and vegetables? Didn't he say that during the pandemic that people should volunteer and go out and work the land? I thought I heard that somewhere. I'm just saying, I could have sworn I heard somewhere that Charles was saying that people should volunteer and go out and work the land. No tomatoes on the supermarket today. Eggs very scarce. Oh, Elaine Park, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. You know, we had like some incredibly high egg prices here in the US because there was like a bad round of bird flu or something like that. And so they had to euthanize a bunch of chickens. And so our egg prices went up. I think that they are still pretty high, but I think some places they have come down. But I never thought I would see a time when there were very few eggs on the shelves. But, you know, I've gone in the supermarket lately and seen areas where you could see the shelf itself. It wasn't layered with a bunch of cases of eggs. And that was the first. So, yeah, it could happen anywhere. It could happen anywhere, anytime. But this is because of Brexit. It's not the pandemic anymore. It is Brexit. And they say in some cases, produce is rotting in the trucks because they can't bring it to the marketplace. The peasants' ration book own their own special coronation gift from King Chucky III. Oh, I should always stay on your good side. Let me see. Sugar Plum says, but they'll be able to wave little British flags at the king as he passes by. There will be plenty of flags. You know, guys, though, has anybody seen Camilla? I mean, all jokes aside, but has anybody seen her lately? I don't want anything to happen to her because if something happens, I'm going to lose a lot of good material. And as long as she survives, then it makes my work so much easier and fun. Let's not forget fun. But yeah, so I kind of need her. Oh man, I kind of need her, and I don't wish anything bad on her because she's fun. All of the other honors and privileges, using the best public relations people that the Duchy of Cornwall can afford, and still it hasn't worked. All it took was a couple of episodes of The Crown, and all of a sudden it was just undone. Because we know who you are. We know who both of you are. And so, taking the measure of your collective characters, Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall, I have decided to speak not only for myself, but for other people who are taking exception to your attitude when it comes to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who are actually living their best life in sunny California. Now, if this is in no way reflecting anything from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, this is my own feelings being expressed the only way I know how. I wonder if they've ever seen that. Good night, Connie Balmer. Sleep well. Thank you for staying up with us. Good night, Connie Balmer. I wonder if they ever seen that though. Oh my God, wouldn't that be something if they ever saw that video? I wonder if Harry and Meghan have ever seen it, although I don't want them to ever acknowledge it because I'd rather they have plausible deniability, but I wonder if they've ever seen it before. Okay, so right here it says cheaper food after EU exit, right? That was even before they started saying Brexit. Now, if you fast forward to today, rationing of fruits and vegetables to last weeks, not weeks, months, because they don't want people to have access to fruits and vegetables during the during the coronation. I was about to say pandemic, during the coronation. So they don't want them to have access to their fruits and vegetables. But yeah, isn't that something? Cheaper food, and then all of a sudden, rationing. Again, who saw that coming? And then right here, if you guys remember, Kate looked glam in hot pink, Hobbs London coat and matching Hobbs turtleneck that she paired with wide leg navy pants while they went on a what is that? Did they call it something safari? They called it some kind of safari, something to do with the fact that they were out there pretending to care about the food banks. Empty project, empty visit. People need food, not a 55-minute photo op. Kate doesn't know what she is talking about as usual. These two are really missing the zeitgeist. So if you consider this happened, it makes this that much more sinister. That makes it that much worse. That just a couple weeks ago, those two were actually doing this photo op for 55 minutes. Very disrespectful. And they're arranging cans and stuff and didn't bring anything with them. And then worse, look at this. Boy, they couldn't wait to get out of there. Kate could not even turn to say goodbye. And William, toodles. His mouth says toodles. I don't know what he said, but his mouth just looks like it says toodles. Baron, you have to Google Azealia Banks going off on the UK. Somebody came for her, and boy, was that a boy, was that a mistake. Oh yeah, I want to see that. she doesn't mince her words. She does not mince her words. Thanks for the heads up. I'm going to try to find that. Oh, good night, Mary Hiker. Thank you for staying up with us. Print circulation for January has a treat. Daily Fail is under 800K for the first time in more than 100 years, down from 812K to 797K. The year on year is down 12%, which is an increase of 5 to 8% we have had since 2018. So let me see. Is it the Daily Mail also owned the Metro? Well, isn't that something? Well, this is something I got off, but I see there's a little typo. The Metro is struggling too. But yeah, so someone posted this on the social media, and I could not wait to share it with you. Check it out. So there it is, the free Metro paper. It's in a decline. The Daily Mail, well, it's this. Oh, wait, this is what was that? This was before, this is after. Again, before, after. That's how that goes. So there you can see the new numbers, and that's the old number for the Daily Fail. Mail on Sunday, also down. Is it? Yeah, it's well down just a little bit. But yeah, so their circulation is not that good. Daily Express, let's see how they're doing. Daily Express, 79, 100, yeah, 179. Wait, where is it? 176,000. Yeah, so they're down too. Yeah, so they, in spite of everything that they have been throwing at the Sussexes in the past year, just think if it wasn't for the hate campaign, those numbers would be that much worse, right? This is what you have gained for hate, and this is what you've lost because people are sick of it. Do you hear me? Sick! They're sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. So Lord Nappy Head, his paper is probably better suited for wiping one's arse than for actually trying to read any news updates or learn anything about the geopolitical situation. It is fodder for the toilet. It is toilet paper, TP, waste paper, not good for anything. Lydia says, good to see the decline. People are waking up and no extra money for buying the trash. Yeah, and just think about this. More and more people are out and about compared to the dwindling days of the pandemic. I don't know if it's officially over yet, but it's certainly not where we were. And in spite of that, even though more people are out and about, their numbers are still down. What do you know? Maybe some people are using it in place of toilet paper for real. Oh, man. So there you go. That's some good news. But if you look at this, trust in written press, if you notice, Norway is number one. Bosnia-Herzegovina is dead last. But at a rate of 65%, people tend to not trust. The only people that match Bosnia-Herzegovina at 65% of untrusted or untrustworthy is the United Kingdom. Everybody else is not as much as those two. So green means you tend to trust. Red means, of course, you tend not to trust. And I don't know. It's just that. You really don't know. But look at the UK. They don't even have a I don't know. There is no I don't know for the UK. As a matter of fact, the UK and Chechnya, they're the only ones that, and Switzerland. Okay, Switzerland, 73% of the people trust and 27% don't. They don't have a I don't know. The only other I don't know is Czechia, which is 51 to 49. And then the UK, 35 to 65. But other than that, everybody else has a don't know. But this is why, because the royal family won't condemn an op-ed about abusing Meghan, among other things. Among other things, it is some very deep. Look at that wig. Look at that wig. I think it's a wig, but look at oh gosh, what is her name? Angela. Look at that opossum she's got on her head. Angela looked like she's got a dead opossum on her head. That is shabby. That is shabby. And even worse, if you look at Jeremy Clarkson, that's his real hair. I don't know which is worse, other people's hair or his real hair. Oh, God. That is pretty bad. Don't you tell me this is not my hair. You don't tell me this is not my hair. I know whose hair, and you don't tell me this is not my hair. Then don't invite me on the show. Then don't invite me. You want to, I know what you want to do. You want to ambush me. You only wanted to invite me here so you could attack me. You don't tell me this is, how dare you tell me this is not my hair? It's not your hair, lady. We don't know whose it is, but it's not yours. Oh, man. And if it is her hair, that is pretty bad. But that looks like an old wig. That's the resale shop wig. It's like it's got too much hairspray in it. You know, you can wash those wigs, though, right? You really can put a little shampoo in the basin and you could wash it. But I'm just saying. How Meghan and Harry's exit going for you, UK? Kind of like Brexit, huh? UK media tabloids struggle to make money. Royal family, royal rodent or royal rotor rats struggle for attention. UK people struggle for clean water, struggle to put food on the shelves, struggle to heat people's homes. But coronation, huh? So that is a quote from a squatty. And if you're the one who wrote that, thank you so much. I didn't want to have people flood your social media, but I used your quote, undisclosed person. And look at old Lord Nappy Head there, the racially ambiguous Lord Nappy Head. You can see when his hair grows out, it's all that much more of a scandal, isn't it? It's all that much more of a scandal. Lord Nappy Head. And did you guys know that the Countess of Wessex is in the Cayman Islands? I don't know if she had some banking to do, but she went back to the Caribbean where William lost half the Commonwealth. And it turns out that she's braver than I thought she was, because I didn't think she would have the courage to go back after they gave that little crappy gift to the president that time. Or is that a prime minister? Look at his face, though, y'all. Look at his face. I know. It's just like, as if somebody, what is he supposed to do with that? What is he supposed to do with that photo in that royal family stock photo frame? I don't think so. Maybe. I didn't see him in any of the photos, but maybe she branched out on her own for the day. Well, one thing's for sure. I know that if she goes to the wrong place, that there's a bird that has an end for her in them ugly dresses that she wear. You guys remember that bird balled up his little talon and went after her? Went and attacked the back of her head, knocked her sunglasses off. I mean, that bird swooped in on her so much that her sunglasses flew off her head. It was like the bird was like, oh, no, and just went lunging after her. All those people there, and the bird had it in for her. BJ says, You would think I was Megan's best friend because I know how to put people in their place. I am sick of people trashing Harry and Meghan, and I am going to stand for them every time. Well, thank you so much, BJ. Thank you so much. Let me see. Uh, Corona Reina says, Baron, the creep Jeremy Clarkson actually rented a place opposite the gym that Princess Diana used to stalk her, coming in and out of the gym in her gym gear. That is twisted, isn't it? That is very, very twisted. Who does that? That's creepy. And didn't he say that out of his own mouth? That is very weird. Ruth Lopez says, what's sad is that this is the royal family trying their hardest to save the monarchy. This is it. There is no upping the game, their game. Yeah, it is sad to watch. It is really, really sad to watch. I mean, once you get, once you process the bad feelings of the terrible stuff they done, if you ever can process that, because it's a terrible betrayal. It's a terrible betrayal by anyone who's ever yearned to visit the UK, whoever supported, their movies and stuff like that. And for myself, a true Anglophile, someone who has really, enjoyed the culture, enjoyed the arts, and enjoyed the country houses and stuff. And then Meghan happened, and that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I tried to remember the good times I had there, the people I met, the places that I've seen. I mean, some very beautiful places that, just doesn't exist anyplace else in the world. Not to say that there aren't other beautiful places, but, I've watched movies, I've seen this drama. It was important for me to see those places. And so I'm left with this kind of bittersweet feeling about it because of the way they treated Meghan. I could never ever look past that. I could never look past that. Um, and that some of the people that I was thought, oh, this person seems pretty cool. That person seems pretty cool. Then you find out how awful some of them are. So big disappointment. Big disappointment. Let me see. Eva says, I'm not sad. Monarchy is a dying cult. I'm happy about it. Yeah. An institution like that doesn't deserve a future. It doesn't deserve a future, because the first time I heard someone say that the monarchy upholds white supremacy, I was like, does it? Yeah, no, I see it now. I see it clearly now. And it's just like I was saying earlier, you would think that an aristocrat who has every privilege in the world would have no reason to be racist, but I think it gives them further reason to be racist, because in order to justify having more than the next person, you need racism, among other things, to prove that you're worthy and deserve to have more than the next person. Just like William needs to believe that he's better than Harry, and Harry has upset that narrative on so many occasions that William has only become increasingly hostile, not because of who Harry is, but for everything he's not. Although you could never convince him of that, but he's not angry about who Harry is. It's all about him being disappointed of what he is not. He was hoping that Harry would be there to uphold this idea that he's better than Harry and better than anybody else, and ordained by God to be the future sovereign, when the stark reality is Harry is a born leader. Harry is full of charisma. Harry is better looking. Harry just has everything going for him. He's everything that William is not. He even runs faster. And then with all of that going for him, with everything he had going for him, to show you how smart he is, look at who he married. Look at who he's married to. Harry was dreaming of the day that he and Meghan could go out there and work and do good in this world, to meet people, to share and laugh and do all the things within the royal family, only to find out that they were never going to let him be happy. They were never going to allow him to shine or exist outside of their shadow. Harry wanted to be the Fab Four. Harry was hoping that he and Willie and that person and whoever he married, he was hoping, he dreamed of the day that they could be this team going out doing stuff, really being the next generation of the royal family, using this platform to make the world a better place, all in the name of the Queen. Unfortunately, he was the only one that saw it that way. The rest of the family, nay, they did not think that was ever going to work. And they couldn't tell him that before he got married. No. They waited until he got married. They dreaded the idea that he ever got married. And when he did get married, then they showed their true colors. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that, though. Before they showed their true colors, I believe, and I said this before, that they had these conversations of what things are going to be like. Oh, so you're going to get married. All right, then we'll put you over the Commonwealth. Yeah, you can have this, you could have that. And I think the Queen went along with it. The Queen went along with it. And she maybe even supported it. But because her heirs, William, Charles, because the heirs were threatened by her, and the Queen aging and health failing, even if she wanted to do something about it, I don't think she was in a position to do anything. Because by law, by tradition, the future is Charles and William. So it wouldn't even matter how hard you push, because once you're gone, they're going to do what they want to anyway. But whatever they had promised Harry, all of that was taken away. And it was justified because of the Marcos, because of the tabloid media's campaign and such. That was the justification to take those things away. And so when it came down to it, it was probably, we want you, but we don't want her. She's just not one of us. She's not our sort. That's the story that I believe. Promises were made, promises were broken. They lured Harry into this false sense of anticipation, a false sense of security that you will be with your wife and you will be able to show up at these occasions hand in hand and be happy. But they never meant for that for him. They never wanted that for him. They never saw a possibility that Harry could have it all. And one by one, they took everything away from him, including the military. But the one thing they couldn't take was his own family. That one was not up for grabs. When it came down to it, sayonara, see you later. I'm up. We're out of here. So it backfired on them, and they just got even more angry and more hostile and more furious, and began to set the press upon them in greater numbers on more occasions, just to punish him. And still, he's thriving. And still, They are the most influential and, dare I say, the most popular in all that family of all the royals anywhere. They're the ones that people are talking about every day. When the Queen died, they were all that mattered. No matter what they say, the only thing they could think of is Harry and Meghan's here. I think that's Harry and Meghan getting off the plane. And there's the plane with Harry and Meghan. I will never forget that happened, because at the worst possible time in the story of the life of Elizabeth Alexandra something Windsor, the only thing that mattered at the end was if Harry and Meghan were there, not William, not Charles. They didn't care about them. We want to know that Harry and Meghan are arriving in Scotland. Isn't that something? I'm not going to let them forget that at that moment, it was all about the Sussexes. Yep. They upstaged the Queen at our own funeral because they are the moment. So, okay, let me take a look at some of your comments here. Oh, the attack bird. But you know what? This is what you get when you wear ugly clothes. This is what you get. So I want to say that what she wore today wasn't nearly as revolting as some of her other get-ups. I mean, that's actually kind of nice, I think. Nice modern pattern and everything, but yet little traditional paisley mixed in. Unlike that frightful thing on the right side there. And then, of course, oh my gosh, what is that, a bin liner? And then that frumpy metallic-y thing. And of course, the dreaded blue jumpsuit. They threw that picture. Oh, thank you, Shelly L. I'm way behind in my BJ says, I sure hope Meghan and Harry read what everyone here said. It seems that they are always being heard. I hope that people know that there are people like us that love them and support them 100%. I'm sure they know. I'm sure they know. And I gotta believe that that they have some social media outreach that sees and hear all of this stuff. Just popped out to feed my minions. I had to hit thumbs up again, coming back in. So everybody, please double check your thumbs up. Thank you, Linda. All right. Let me see. For years, found out my ancestry and put my family in England, Scotland. 97%. Wow. I think I'm like 12 or something percent. I think I'm like 12% of the British Isles. Oh, not a duchess. She can have those ugly clothes, but she'll never be a duchess. Never a duchess. Not a duchess. She could just keep glaring at Meghan with that hideous stare. Let me see. She makes us look bad. They were upset. A bloody Yank was outshining them, right? And Meghan were trying to make it seem like it's so hard to be a duchess. It's so hard to be a princess. And Meghan aced it. They can't take his impeccable work attitude from him either. And his approachable character, Willie and Kate, couldn't do the walkabout without Harry and Meghan because that's who the crowd wanted. Exactly. They would have been disappointed otherwise. I don't think they would have embraced any woman that Harry married. Oh, yeah, I believe that too. Of course, they treat Meghan less than human because she's Black, but no woman of Harry's would have been treated well. Will is jealous. That he is, especially if any woman that Harry married could hold a conversation didn't have those weird tics and stuff like that. Oh man. Oh, wait a minute. And let us not forget, Meghan is a duchess and she's not, right? Sophie is not a duchess. She's been a countess since 1999. 1999, she married into that family and has been a countess ever since. People have lived and died, and she's still Countess Sophie Wessex. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. What? It was cut almost to her belly button. No, I did see that she had bare arms, though. I did see the bare arms. Okay. She is given new meaning to mean mugging. Mean mugging. That's what it is. She's mean mugging the camera. That is a mug. That's not just a face, it's a mug. A mug shot. I've seen mug shots that are warmer than this. And who could forget that day that the camera caught poor Sophie Wessex? If you look at the reflection in the mirror back there, that's poor, downtrodden, homely clothes wearing, dull, uninspired Sophie Wessex looking in the mirror at Kate. Kate is the Princess of Wales now, and poor downtrodden, shabby car boot sales, clothes wearing, glaring at Meghan with hostility, Sophie Wessex. She's not even a duchess, she's a countess. And Kate has been given a promotion, and poor Countess Wessex, there she is looking at Kate, feeling sorry for herself. Woo! Feeling sorry for herself. Anytime you have to be second fiddle to Kate Middleton, that's a bad day. That's a bad day. You know you're smarter. You know you can talk. You know you can do a lot of things she can't. And yet you're glaring at her with sadness, self-loathing, because Kate is no longer just the Duchess, but now she's the Princess of Wales, and you are still the Countess of Wessex. Well, she might get the Duchess of Edinburgh. She may get that on the coronation day. We'll see. But I hope she wears something nice. I just hope she wears something nice. Don't show up with that stuff on. Ugh. 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 Oh, now this was the worst of the worst. In between, there is a few people that are covered up by this newspaper ad, a newspaper column. But as you can see, she's glaring at Meghan, and even little Charlotte was taken back by it. This is the funeral for the Queen. And rather than show goodwill, rather than be supportive and kind, she, the eternal Countess, is glaring at Meghan. Glaring at Meghan. What has she done to you? Why are you more angry than anybody else in the family? I'll never know. I'll never know. But she deserves this moment. She deserves this moment. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad the camera caught the sadness and despair in her bloodshot eyes, because she's been crying that she'll never that she'll never be a duchess ever. So if you're listening, Sophie Wessex, you'll never be a duchess. Unless somebody feels sorry for you and just give it to you. But anyway, you made your bed. And of course, even if she never becomes a duchess, don't forget, you guys, it's not like she doesn't have a nice consolation prize. The queen had one of the footmen go outside and pick up some poo from one of her favorite corgis. And then she grabbed that poo, actually had the courtier or whatever, put that poo in a bin liner, a little garbage bag, and they tied it in a nice, neat bow. And they gave it to Sophie, and that's what she's been wearing on her head ever since. That nice little bag of corgi poo. The corgi poo hat. Yeah. So it's not like she doesn't have something nice to remember the queen by. She has a little bag of corgi poo. So I'm surprised Philip Tracy. Well, maybe Philip Tracy styled it for her. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a Philip Tracy design that was rendered from corgi poo. But either way, she can keep glaring and staring and, oh man. But seriously though, I will never, ever forgive her. Ever forgive her. That was the crappiest display, unnecessary, cruel display. At least Kate had the dignity to look away. But her, she doubles down and glares right in somebody's face like some kind of lunatic. So if anybody in this world deserves a bag of crap on top of their head, is Sophie. Okay, you guys. So on a lighter note, now that I got that out of my system, Jill Biden heads to Namibia. No, I'm sorry, no, gosh, I can never say it. Namibia, Namibia, Kenya, part of U.S. Africa push. First Lady Jill Biden is headed to as part of says the same thing. Wonder why they had those together. To step up engagements. What else does that say? With Africa. There you go. So I believe she's in Africa right now. You're welcome. You're welcome. What's that, Joyce? She is where Meghan will never be, waiting for Charles and Willie to give her and her husband money. Oh, that's a good point. She'll be waiting. Yeah, she's going to have to live the rest of her life at the whim of Willie. Capricious Willie. She has to deal with Willie. She and her husband, who is older than William, because they're not allowed to do any type of trade anymore because they really botched that, both of them. So now that's a good point. Thank you so much for that. I feel better already. And so there is our First Lady. She's greeted by people at the airport. How sweet. But you know what I love? Namibia. Okay, Sheila Watson, let me try this. It's pronounced Namibia. Namibia. Ain't that what I said? I can't say it. I'm sorry. But yeah, so wait a minute. Namibia. Okay, that's how you say it. Bida. I cannot say it. Namibia. 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 Let me see here. Correction. Hillary's mother was sent by train from Chicago by her parents to her grandparents in Los Angeles, unaccompanied, but not on an orphan train. Oh, okay. All right. So, very sweet picture. Love that suit that lady's wearing, by the way. And you know what was fun about this? Take a look. The aunties. Don't you love that? Look at the aunties. Look at the aunties. I love that. There's the First Lady of the United States being met by an official, and in the background, you can see the aunties. Oh, man. Someone on the Twitter actually had the picture, and then they cropped this photo, the one that you see right there on the right, and they said the aunties. Oh, see, I just saw that and I was going to give it another go and I can't. Maybe if I hear someone say it. Maybe, yeah. See, this is what I get for making fun of Kate. I mean, I know if I can't say it, then I know darn well. But then again, you know what? Maybe Kate can say it. It'd be just my luck that Kate could say it. Because she kind of said, well, you know what? Kate really did say it in this video. Kate said that already. See?
People who aren't necessarily reaching out, who are struggling, who perhaps don't feel they can reach out, or the fact that maybe they haven't realised that addictive behaviours have sort of established.
Have you ever had a dreams that you want him to do you so much you could do anything? Have you ever had a dreams that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
See, I told you. She said it in the video. She can say it and I can't. So there's at least one thing in this life Kate can do better than anybody else on earth. And that's me trying to say that word. So 1 point goes to Kate. Okay. I'm going to try this one more time, Faith Miller. Namibia. Namibia. See, if I think about it too much, I can't say it. Namibia. 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 Did I say it? Namibia. Did I say it? Namibia. Did I say it or did I do it, Kate? Because Kate said
they can reach out, or the fact that maybe they haven't realised that addictive behaviours have sort of established.
Have you ever had a dreams that
I love it. That baby. Y'all, we done been on here 2.5 hours. I am fixing to go. It is 8 o'clock. Lastly, karma is a, you know what? Oh no, honey. Karma is a classy and wise elder that will calmly sit you down and serve you tea that you later realize was laced with the same poison that you served others for years. That's what karma is. Hello. That is what karma is. So if anybody needs an explanation, you have it right there. Karma is that. So thank you to whoever posted that on the social media today. I hope I have used it wisely. Okay, and with that, I am done, you guys. I am done. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you also for the generous contributions today. Always appreciate it. And thank you, Mod Squad, for keeping this a safe space. Let me put something up on the screen. And also, my thoughts and contempt goes out to Lorraine. I hope she's okay. Let me see. That was from yesterday. Wait a minute. Oh, there you go. I'll leave that up there. Oh man, yeah, I'll leave that there. But anyway, thanks guys. Really appreciate it, and thank you all for being here. Thank you for staying up late. I'm sorry for those who had to stay up really late. Oh, by the way, you guys, I received some chocolates from my box today. Also, I received a surge protector. I couldn't see who acquired those for me, but thank you so much for the gifts. And also, I received a gift. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name or not, but there's a squatty from Texas who gifted me some of the most beautiful things. I'm gonna I gotta share the photos with you guys. Not today, but I will share them. I was blown away. It's actually some stuff from Ghana, right? It's from Ghana, and it is so beautiful. So, especially the Kenta cloth, I cannot wait to see. I mean, I just want to walk in. You know how you do the walkthrough when you fix up something? I want to do the walkthrough and just see that, like, laid as a throw across the couch. That is beautiful, and the colors go perfectly in my living room. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to hang up a couple of pieces, or put it in my curio. But yes, beautiful stuff, and I can't wait to share it with you. But I was so surprised, and this stuff is like these beautiful things are just anyway very, very nice. So thank you so much for that. And I have to send a direct thank you to them, because I don't think that they do so well with the social media. So I'll find another way to say thank you. But yeah, so anyway, you guys, for those, remember, there's no obligation to look at the Royal Sussex wish list, but it is fun for me, and it is also very, very much appreciated. Shelly L says, my mother used to tell us, keep it up. Every mimic is a rehearsal. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna try to sort that out. But I thought it was oh gosh. See, when I think about it, I can't do it. Namibia. Right? I said it right. That was good. Oh well. Okay. All right, you guys. I'm gonna go. Heart. What is that, Lydia? Is that a link to another channel that we all should enjoy? I better see what you have here. Oh no, it's the Royal Sussex wish list. I'm so surprised to see that. I almost forgot about the Royal Sussex wish list. But thank you so much for sharing the Royal Sussex Amazon wish list. Which makes February just like Christmas. But yes, thank you for that. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get going here. No, okay, stop it. I cannot say it. Every time I look at it, then I feel obliged to try to say it. Nabia. No, that's not right, is it? Namibia. Nah. So I guess I'm not saying it right because y'all ain't said I said it right yet. So okay, but I will keep trying. I'm going to try to find someone say it, and if I hear it, then I know I'll get it. Because if I don't get it, then I'm going to start having little strange tics, and my mouth is going to be askew, and weird facial expressions. So I have to get this right. I don't want to get those weird tics and twitches and stuff and jazz hands. So I'll get it. Okay. So I'm going to cue the Ginger Avenger. Now, the weirdest thing is I got some readers on my wish list. Matter of fact, I'm wearing them right now. But I still need to go and get some real bifocals. That's on my to-do list. So, but I got my emission test done. So one step at a time, right? All right. So with that, thank you to our queens of everything, and our queen of hearts. There we go. There we go. Our queen of everything and our queen of hearts. Thank you for those amazing cheering. And what else do we have here? Yes. Good night, you guys. All right. Love you. See you tomorrow. Let's cue the Ginger Avenger. And good night, one and all. Gosh, I've been on here too long. I got to go. Here we go. So tell me, Russell Myers, when did you first notice that one of your ears was missing? Tell me about that, Russell Myers. When did you realize that people could only ever see one of your ears? Did you lose your ears because you're real nosy and you're always talking about the Sussexes? Whatever happened to your other ear, Russell Myers? I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, Russell Myers, but it is kind of weird, a wee bit weird that we can only ever see one of your ears. I'm just asking for a friend, Russell Myers. Okay, I gotta stop. What's that? She had to pass the aunties before they would let her into the country. Well, that makes sense because the aunties been knowing, so they wanted to make sure that Jill got the okay from the aunties. That makes sense. But okay, you guys. Oh boy. Okay, so before I hear from Russell Myers, lawyers, I better get going. All right, good night, you guys. Love you.